This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who were our first teachers and storytellers. I extend my respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Habit Nerd podcast. I'm Dr. Bree Hearn, and if you're interested in habits, those tiny, powerful behaviours that shape who we are and what we achieve, you've absolutely landed in the right place. Join me each week as I interview a wide range of experts, dive into evidence-based strategies, and give you practical tools to help you build habits that stick and break the ones that hold you back. Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the Habit Nerd podcast. Warm welcome to new listeners. Welcome, and thanks to everybody for being here. Now, our topic today is pretty classic, pretty standard habit nerd stuff, because what I like to talk about and what I'm trying to instill in the world as an act of service is how to help people work better with more joy and more efficiency so that they can have energy left over to spend time doing things that they love, whether that be their hobbies or their family or their friends. So today's episode I've titled 8 Ways to Get Through Your To-Do List and Still Have Energy Left Over. Now, the reason I'm talking about it is I've had a few days in the last little while, maybe over the last 3 weeks or so, when very happily I have gone to bed at the end of the day feeling satisfied with my output for the day. Now, that for a lot of us is an unfamiliar, uncommon feeling, but it is something that I've been paying attention to for the last little while, and then thinking about what characterize those days where I am putting my head on the pillow and feeling like I got done what was important for that day, and I can sleep well, knowing that I don't have an overwhelming sense of doom for the coming days. It's a really novel concept to be able to shut off our computer with a sense of pride for what's been achieved. So as I say, I've paid attention to what those factors have been, and that is characterizing the episode today, alongside, obviously, as always, lots of evidence-based research-informed tips. Now, I coach people and organization on this topic, how to power through your to-do list and still have energy left over. And in my free content here on the podcast, I really want you to have that gift as well. So I hope you find some value in it. Now, a couple of caveats. A to-do list and a wish list are different things. A to-do list means it can get done. We're not talking about a list of 50 things that are swirling around in your mind. And we're also not talking about lofty, unrealistic, or unachievable goals. So a to-do list requires some discipline about what actually needs to be done, what needs to be done by you, and what needs to be done soon. So they're 3 kind of boundaried ideas I want you to think about. It actually needs to get done. It's important in terms of moving the needle forward in your work. It needs to be done by you, and the due date is soon. So here are my 3 tips, my 3 ways to power through your to-do list and still have energy left over. The first one is to set clear priorities. Probably the night before is preferable here, but if you need to do it first thing in the morning, that's okay as well. But basically, it's really important to know that a day without a plan is like a ship without a rudder. Now, there's 2 ways, there's lots of different ways, but 2 ways practically that you could go about this, and I use both of them. The first one is the LIPS strategy, LIPS, and that stands for list, prioritize, and schedule. So that is the night before, you can list everything that you need to do. Then you can put a circle around the top 5 priorities, and then you schedule that into the day. So that's the LIP strategy, meaning you actually put it in your calendar. Oliver Berkman, who is one of my favorite time management authors, he's the author of one of my most influential books, 4,000 Weeks, alongside a lot of other work, and he has a column in the New York Times. He's got a strategy called the 3-3-3. Now, he uses this to conceptualize that you do 3 hours on your most important thing, 3 shorter tasks that you've been avoiding, and 3 maintenance activities to keep your life in order. Now, the reason that I like this is because we've got really busy lives as people who have, multiple priorities. Lots of us are also parents, or we have caring responsibilities alongside our work and alongside our leisure. There's a lot that we're juggling. So the integration of a work day, as much as we would like from 8:30 till 5 or whatever it is to be just on work, other things do need to be managed, be they, life maintenance tasks, make medical appointments or book your car in for a service or whatever. The 3-3-3 strategy makes it okay because you can fit 3 maintenance activities to keep your life in order in there. And if you schedule them in and you can tick them off, you don't feel guilty that they're taking you away from your paid work, because you're giving 3 solid focused hours to the most important thing at your work, which research would show is as much as anybody really is able to give if they're super, super focused. So you're giving your 3 hours on that, and then you're doing 3 shorter tasks that are also work-based. So 3 maintenance activities to keep your life in order just helps us manage. It helps our mental health, be okay, and it helps us be able to not feel so much resentment about all the things that we're juggling. So an example for me, if I did this yesterday, I spent 3 hours on a presentation that I need to give in a week's time, and I need to be able to give it to the stakeholders and get some feedback. So I spent a good 3 hours researching and putting together that presentation. Then my 3 tasks I'd been avoiding, one was an email that I've been feeling a bit anxious about sending. Another one was watching a recording of some compulsory training I have to do for my employment. And the third one was resolving some work credit card expenses. So they're 3 shorter tasks that I've been avoiding, but having them written down, I was able to just tick them all off. And then the 3 maintenance activities to keep my life in order were, I have purchased some boots that aren't the right fit. They fit, but they're not quite for me. They're still in excellent condition. So I'm going to list those for sale on Depop. So I took photos and listed them for sale on Depop. That was one maintenance task. I needed to call the tax office to question an error that I've noticed on some recent paperwork. And I made an appointment at an optometrist for an eye test. So having those 3 maintenance tasks written down to tick through, by the end of the day, my 3-3-3 really made me feel a sense of achievement that my work task that was important had been moved forward. I had worked on 3 things that had been hanging over my head, and I felt like I could cope a little bit more as a human in the world. So the first thing, habit nerds, is to set clear priorities either the night before or in the morning if you have to, and make sure that your day has a really clear plan. That way, if it's an achievable plan, when you go to bed, you can feel a sense of accomplishment and achievement, and that will give you some confidence to be able to move forward tomorrow using that same framework. So 3-3-3, or the LIP strategy, but the first one is set clear priorities for your day. The second way to power through your to-do list and still have energy left over is to not check your phone first thing in the morning. Now, if you can manage to do this, you will be in the top 10% most effective, focused, and productive people, because 90% of us do that. 90% of us roll over in bed, grab our phone when we're half asleep, get into our email, get into our social media, check the news updates, whatever it is. So if you can do that, if you can avoid doing that, even for the first hour, as I say, you will be way ahead. Checking your phone, which has, all of the things I said, the news alerts, the social media, the worst, email, it puts you in reaction mode, and your precious and limited and finite cognitive energy is already starting to drain, and it's already fractured. It's already on multiple things. Instead, win the morning, win the day. Start on your terms. So think about replacing that phone with a big drink of water. Maybe get out of bed and do some gentle stretching. You could do some light breath work, listen to music, or maybe journal. The idea is to set your own mental pace before the outside world sets it for you. So my second tip, try not to check your phone first thing in the morning. And a tip for this is don't have it charging next to your bed, or if it is used for your alarm, have it on the floor near your bed, but not within arm's reach, so that you aren't tempted to just half asleep, throw your arm across the bed, pick it up, and already you're in reaction mode. So the third way to get through your to-do list and still have energy left over is to time block your calendar. Now, habit nerds, what gets scheduled gets done. So make meetings with yourself based on what's on your clear priorities from number one. Now that you've got your priorities organized, make clear meetings for yourself for deep work. And that means deep work, uninterrupted work, work in full screen mode. Don't have your email or your Slack or your Teams pinging in the background. Don't have your phone anywhere near you. Time block it. And that way you will see in your calendar, okay, from 9 till 10:30, this is what I'm doing. So that's number 3, time block your calendar. Number 4 way to power through your to-do list and still have energy left over is a strange one, but it's called eat the frog. It's a strange phrase, but I think the fact that it is a strange phrase makes it easy to remember. It means basically do the hardest task first. Now, this works for a few reasons. First, it's been said, and this is so true, that the magic you seek is in the work you're avoiding. It's a hard truth that I realize over and over. The thing that I'm avoiding doing is where the important work is hiding. So if you do the hard thing first, you can prove to yourself that you can do hard things, and you get a positive dopamine boost. And guess what? Once you've done the hard thing first thing in the morning, everything else in that day feels much easier. You're already on a downhill slope. Now, the hard thing can be challenging on your brain, or it can be something you're avoiding, like making a difficult phone call, or it can be something that isn't necessarily difficult, but it is solving a complex problem. So it might not take too long, but in terms of complexity, it's the hardest thing. So look at your to-do list, look at your prioritization, and think, what's the hardest thing? And try and do that first, because your brain will really thank you. You'll feel a sense of relief, and then a sense of motion and confidence to be able to, I've done that, everything else today is going to be much easier. So that is number 4. Number 5 way to get through your to-do list and still have energy left over is to fuel your brain. Now, I need this reminder, so maybe you need it too. Caffeine is not a meal. Your brain, to be most effective, needs hydration. So start with water if you can, and keep drinking it all day. I like to wake up in the morning, have a big drink of water, which is in my drink bottle next to my bed. Then I go to the gym, and on the way home from the gym, I get a coffee. So it's really easy to drink coffee first thing, but what that does is it turns off my receptors for my appetite, and then I feel like I'm firing maybe for the first half an hour, but then it wanes. So caffeine isn't a meal. Your brain, to be most effective, needs real fuel like protein, healthy fats, and carbs. Now, depending on your preference, this could be eggs with avocado on whole grain toast, for example. It could be a smoothie, or my current favorite breakfast, because it's getting cold here in Melbourne, oats that I do on the stove because they're just much creamier. And I put Greek yogurt and berries. And I also have this like protein mix that I sprinkle on that's yummy, different nuts and seeds. So I can't tell you how much more work I get done and feel positive about it when my brain is properly fueled. So that's my fifth tip for getting through your to-do list, still having energy left over. Make sure that your brain is really well fueled. Number 6, avoid multitasking. I've said it before, I will likely say it again. Multitasking is a big, fat myth. When you think you're doing two things at once, you're actually just going back and forth, repeatedly switching between them. And hard truth, you're doing both of them ineffectively because your focus is compromised. Multitasking costs time and energy. They are the two things that are in limited supply. So habit nerds, give one thing your full, undivided attention and then move on. So that's my 6th tip. Do not multitask. It does not work. Number 7, way to power through your to-do list and still have energy left over is to take real breaks. Now, the reason I say real breaks, it's related to the last point about being all in on one thing. Being all in on a break works exactly the same way. When you're working, be fully immersed in work. And when you're on a break, be fully immersed in that rest time. A break is not scrolling Instagram or checking the news. It's real rest for your brain. So I suggest move away from your computer, make yourself a hot drink, close your eyes maybe, do some mindful breathing. Even if it's not going to annoy your colleague, go and chat to them if you both have time, but make sure it's about non-work matters. There is an awkward in between that is distracted work and guilty rest. And I love that idea. It's called, Charles Miller calls it, the anxious middle. So he says avoid the anxious middle by being all in when you're working and all in when you're resting. Because the anxious middle is you're working but you're distracted, or you're resting but you feel guilty about it. So number 7, take real breaks. And my final tip for powering through your to-do list and still having energy left over is making time for movement. Now, I schedule my movement like a meeting because on top of all the physical health benefits, movement supercharges my work output. I never realized until the last couple of years that there is a symbiotic relationship between physical health and success at work. I personally do a gym session at 6 a.m., 3-4 days a week if it's a good week, and I try and walk my dog each day. If I'm working from home and able to, which is not always, I will try and schedule in a 20-minute power walk around the block in the middle of the day or in the early afternoon. Now, in case you need a reminder, the research says that movement improves your focus, increases your energy, reduces your stress, it boosts your mood, and it helps sleep. I love this. I saw this on LinkedIn the other day. If exercise were a pill, people would be lining the streets to buy it. And a reminder, your movement or your exercise doesn't have to take hours. Even a good 5 minutes can have an impact. So that's my last one, make time for movement. I'll recap all of my 8 ways to power through your to-do list and still have energy left over. The first one, set clear priorities the night before. The second one, do not check your phone first thing in the morning. Number 3, time block your calendar. Schedule meetings with yourself. Number 4, eat the frog. Do the hardest thing first. Number 5, fuel your brain. Number 6, avoid multitasking. Do one thing and do it well. Number 7, take real breaks. Breaks without your phone, breaks away from your computer. When you're working, be all in. When you're having a break, be all in. And the last one, habit nerds, is to make time for movement. Now, I hope that some of those were helpful for you. I'm gaining new listeners bit by bit every week, and it's such a joy for me to hear from people that I know, people that I don't know, people that write to me on Instagram or send me an email that this work is helping. It would be such a gift for me and hopefully for other people if you shared this episode with somebody that you know, or take a screenshot of something on Instagram and share it, just so that I can get more people into this work, into this habit nerd world, which I'm hoping is making you live more productively and more efficiently and have more time for joy. So until next time, again, a huge thank you for spending time with me. I hope that you will give a couple of these ways to power through your to-do list a go. Love to hear which ones are effective for you, if any. Until next time, take care. Thanks for being here for another episode of the Habit Nerd Podcast. I am so grateful for your time. If you enjoyed it or gained a fresh perspective, please share it with a friend, or maybe you feel like giving it a 5-star review, which will take you less than 30 seconds. I do love all of my habit nerds, and I see you showing up every day as your wonderful selves. So until next time, take care.